my YouTube channel. My name is Carrie Harris. I am actually a blogger. Some of you may know me. I have a website called CityGirlFaith's.com. It's really about my journey. So a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Massachusetts. I lived there for 26 years of my life. During those 26 years, I went through a lot of trials, tribulations, things that were really hard on me. I was having family problems, I was having men problems, I just was having problems in general, to the point where I was suicidal almost every single year. The hospitals knew me, like it was that bad. So I just couldn't take it anymore, and I said, God, I need you to take over. I literally was in my bed and I told him, you need to take over. And that's exactly what he did. I actually that night had a dream, and it was the weirdest dream. I, at the time, was a teacher. So I was in my classroom and I realized that I was packing up all of my stuff in my classroom. It was such a vivid dream. Like when I say it was vivid, I could feel the stuff I was packing. I could see the boxes I used. It was very, very vivid. I've never had a dream like that. So I woke up and I was like, I think God wants me to move. So I literally started applying everywhere. Didn't tell anybody. Maybe I told one person, my mother. And I was like, God wants me to move. So I'm going to keep packing up my stuff. I'm going to... Sorry, y'all. I'm going to listen to God. So I decided to listen to him and do what he told me to do and started applying for jobs. Personally, I wanted to move to Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know what was really out there for me, but I thought Atlanta was the place to be. So I was trying to apply out there. Had nothing. Now, mind you, I didn't tell this part, but at the time, I only made $16,000 a year. I was in a fellowship program, so I only made $16,000 a year. I didn't have enough money to move. Like, I barely had enough money for rent. So I didn't have enough money to move. So I kept applying for jobs everywhere else because nothing was coming back from Atlanta. He blocked that, seriously blocked it. So I kept applying everywhere, and everything kept popping back. Texas. I was like, I've never been to Texas. I guess I'm moving to Texas. At that point, I was so desperate to just get out of where I was, that rut, that anger, that frustration, where God had me at that point. I was like, because he was holding me, but I was still in the world. So I had that destruction going on at the same time, and it was really beating up my soul to the point where I was ready to kill myself. So I actually had a job interview. It was a Skype interview in Waco, Texas. And I was like, okay, let's try this one out. So I did the Skype interview. And meanwhile, in my own head, because you know, when you have a plan, but God has a whole nother plan, yeah, that's the way this worked out right here. So I thought, I'm going to have to do a model teach, so I'm going to have to fly out there. I'm going to have to plan all this in my head. I'm going to have to use this money, and how am I going to do this? I'm trying to plan all this out. So after the Skype interview, about 15 minutes after the Skype interview, I get a letter asking me to join the team in Waco, Texas. No interview, no second interview, nothing. That was all God. So I literally called my parents and told them, I'm moving in 1 month. Now, living in Massachusetts for 26 years, not living anywhere else, it's not that easy to do. But when I say God gave me the whole plan, he gave me the whole plan, plus he gave me some additional stuff. For instance, I had the plan to drive out here. God had a whole nother plan. He laid it on my father's heart to ship my car, to get it here. Because I had things in Massachusetts, and now that I'm in Texas, he's bringing the things I needed here. So my dad shipped my car, which I didn't ask him to do. I was planning on driving, so he shipped the car, and me and my cat flew out here. I actually lived in an extended stay hotel for about a month, which was, no, I said a month. I meant 3 months. I'm sorry. I lived out there for 3 months, and living out there for 3 months, I had the opportunity to see Waco as it is. I didn't really know much about Waco, So that's why I decided to live in an extended stay hotel, have some family out here, but they were like, Carrie, we don't know Waco. So we can't even help you with the apartment shopping yet. So I had to pretty much do it on my own, but having the extended stay hotel helped me a lot. So I lived in Waco for a year, and that year God was able to clear me of suicidal thoughts and started to bring me into who I was as a person. I suddenly became who God created me to be, and I started to love myself again. I started to see myself through the eyes of Christ, and I've never seen myself through the eyes of Christ before. So if you don't get anything else from me, please remember that if God puts you in a period of isolation, it's because he's clearing you from some stuff. The stuff he cleared me from brought me to a whole nother place that was different, that was amazing, that was fulfilling. I love myself because of that period of isolation. If I didn't have that period of isolation, I wouldn't be able to handle where I am today. So going back to that, I got a pageant title. I actually got the title of Miss Black Texas U.S. Ambassador 2014. And it was almost handed to me, which I had been in pageants for years on years, and I've never had a title handed to me. So this was literally placed in my hands, and I said, God, this is only you, because I've asked for this platform. I've asked for something like this, and you finally give this to me? So I knew that I had to do it. But the travel was about an hour and a half that I had to do to make appearances and to speak and to do other things that become requirements with holding a title. So I did a lot of traveling from Waco to Dallas almost on a daily basis. I was sleeping in parking lots so I didn't drive home, fall asleep driving home, because I've had situations where I have fallen asleep at the wheel and I was not allowing that to happen. So I would do that, and then I'd get back up and I'd drive back all the way home, and then I'd get back and have to go to work the next day. I would do that on a consecutive basis because God was teaching me to be obedient, even through storms and trials and tribulations. So I knew that I had to be obedient to what he needed me to do and the people he needed me to touch in that season. But little did I know, in that season, God was setting me up. He was setting me up to move out here to Dallas. He told me one day, he goes, you're moving out here. And I said, okay. So I literally, at this point, let me tell you, at this point, I was already like, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know what I'm doing, but God, I just need you to do it. So I started applying for jobs in Dallas. Let's backtrack a little bit. Here's another little bit of setup that God did too. I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment in Waco, but I never had a bed. I lived on a couch. Well, it was actually a futon. I lived on a futon, had a TV, and some Wi-Fi. I had Wi-Fi because I was a teacher and I needed to grade papers. So, going back now, he got me a job out here in Dallas, and I was a teacher for almost a full year. About October, God started telling me, he said, this is not for you. He started pulling out my passion to teach, and I said, wait a second, I have a master's degree in elementary education. I love kids. Like, you're really doing this to me? Like, why am I feeling like this? And he said, because I'm pulling you out. God will sometimes do that to you. He will give you something, and then he'll take it away from you. But that's because he's got something better. So God told me that in October, and I kept trying to figure out, what's my next purpose? What's my next purpose? And God just had me pull towards him. I started reading my word more. I started listening to him. I started going to church more. I would drive to church. My church was an hour away. I would drive there for Wednesday night Bible study. We had a phone call, but I would drive there for Wednesday night Bible study because I needed to be in where the word was. I was very passionate. If I wasn't at school, I was at church. It was one or the other because I needed to know, what was my purpose, Lord? What is my purpose? So the Lord, in December, I was actually driving to work And it was after a day where I was having a great quiet time that morning with the Lord. I poured out my heart, my soul. I was begging for forgiveness for everything. And I just poured it all out. And I was driving to work. And I was like, I wonder what my purpose is. And I started thinking, maybe God wants me to do this. Maybe he wants me to do that. And he goes, and then I go, maybe he wants me to preach the gospel. I heard that soft voice say, yes. I went, wait, what? I even remember the song that was playing, everything. And I went, wait, what? I'm on the highway in traffic. And I start hyperventilating. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I got scared. I got scared of my purpose because I knew the heavy burden that came with it. And the reason why I knew the heavy burden that came with it was because my best friend at the time was also my pastor, and God had me following him because he was showing me the heavy burdens and what comes with the purpose he was calling me to. When you are on your path, remember that God has a purpose and a plan for everything. So ask him, when you're going through stuff, you're like, why was I here? What was the point of me going over there when you told me to go over here, Lord? Like, what was the point? But there's always a purpose in that plan. So make sure that you're listening and you're watching and you're hearing. Because he will have that set up. He's setting you up for something. Remember that. So he called me to that. And then about, I would say it was in April. In April, he decided to tell me to go back into nannying. I was a nanny while I was getting my master's degree in Massachusetts. It helped a lot with the flexibility and everything. So he had me go into that. And I said, okay, I'll go back into nannying. So I started applying for nannying jobs. So, mind you, I was making really good money as a teacher. Really good money. Really good money and not being a certified teacher. So it was a little hard for me to sacrifice that, but I knew that God's will was way better, way more. And so I decided to do that, and I got a job, and the way that happened was a crazy setup as well. I was driving to work one day, and it was so much traffic, and I was running late. What I tend to do when my desire and passion starts to pull out, and it was really bad. And I was like, I need to get to school. I need to make sure I get there on time. So I got off the highway, and I started driving the back roads. I drove the back roads, and I was at a stoplight. The light turned green, so I went. Somebody hit me, ran the light, hit me, and I hit a brick wall. I was in the emergency room when I got the call for the job that I'm at today. I lost paychecks because I left 5 weeks before school ended. It was bad, but the Lord provided. When I say he provided, I still got that money. I got that paycheck without it actually being written from the school I was at. God was just providing every way, shape, and form. So I knew I was called to this. I'm sorry, y'all. There's some birds that are talking right now, too. They want to talk to y'all, too. So we're going to let them talk a little bit. But but it was an amazing experience. So I've really just tried to listen and answer to God's call and what he's called me to do. So that's a bit of my story. I hope it does bless you a little bit. These birds are serious right now. My purpose for this channel is to encourage you from my walk, my faith walk. I'm not telling you, go quit your job and do this and do that. I'm not telling you all that. I'm telling you, listen to God, because he will set you up to go exactly where you need to be. And he will have you encourage who he wants you to encourage. He will have you do that. He will take you to places you never thought you could go. I never in my day, mind you, I was not churched. I was never churched. I went to church as a child, and that was about it. my parents decided not to go to church, so we didn't go to church. We went to a private school that taught about God, but that's about it. We didn't go to church on Sundays. We weren't involved in church, so I was not churched. I knew some things, but I wasn't churched. I had it instilled in me a little bit as a child. But when God brought me back, it was a whole nother story. I was like, okay, God, I got you. So, but I never, ever thought I'd be out here and doing what God's called me to do, which is preach the gospel, or even just give y'all my testimony. But I had to go through my testimony to get some of y'all through it. And I really hope that this YouTube channel gets to encourage y'all to do exactly what God has called you to do. And you can do it anywhere. But you need to make sure His hand is on it. You need to stay in your word. You need to pray. You need to just be that beam of light, that hope, where God wants to take you. I just really hope that this channel does that for y'all. You can also check out my page, CityGirlFaith's.com. It's about my journey from faith to faith. I didn't do this on purpose. God asked me to do this, and I've heard that it's been really encouraging to some of you, and I really hope it does become encouraging to others. Now that He told me to do this video blog, I'm going to be doing this as well. I'll be posting it hopefully on both. If I figure it out. I am not tech savvy, y'all, so this video might actually come out really weird. But I'm not tech savvy, but I'm going to try my best and with what God has equipped me with, and get out what He needs for me to tell you guys. What else? Feel free to subscribe. I'm going to try and at least do one once a month, at least. If God does more, I'll do more. But I definitely want to at least get one vlog out a month. Let's see, what else? I just pray that God leads you guys to where you need to be. I'm just the encourager. That's all I am. I just want to encourage you. I want to give you what you need. So I pray it is amazing. And I hope y'all have a great, blessed day. I'll see y'all soon. Bye.